What if I told you the Super Bowl champs are being treated like underdogs in their own division? The team that just lifted the Lombardi is now the one nobody's picking to win the NFC East. Again? Why? Because the media's hyping up teams that haven't even proven they can stay healthy, let alone win big. It's not just disrespect, it's war. And today, we're breaking down the facts, not the noise. Get ready, because the hunt for the NFC East crown just turned personal. When you win the Super Bowl, everything changes. You go from chasing the crown to being the team everyone is chasing. You're not just a target in your division, you're the team the whole NFL wants to beat. And that's exactly what the Eagles are right now. But guess what? Despite a strong offseason full of smart moves and fresh talent, the media is already counting them out. Some people are saying they won't even win the NFC East. Can you believe that? The Super Bowl champs not even picked to win their own division? That's the story they're trying to sell. But let's take a deeper look. Have the Commanders, Giants, and Cowboys really improved enough to steal the East? Are they serious contenders or just names on paper? Let's talk about it. For nearly 2 decades, the NFC East has been a wild, unpredictable race. Since 2004, no team has won back-to-back division titles. Every year, it feels like a new champion rises. And that's what gives people hope and fuels the noise. The media's running wild again, saying it's anyone's division. Big-name quarterbacks, flashy draft picks, new coaches, all that drama. But in all the talk, they've missed something huge. This isn't just about defending the NFC East. This is about defending the Super Bowl, and that changes everything. Because this year, the Eagles aren't just fighting to stay on top of their division. They're defending the title of the best team in football. While the other NFC East teams made some moves, none of them made moves that truly shake the ground. Let's start with the Cowboys. Yeah, they made a splash with George Pickens. Sure, that looks good on paper. And their first-round pick, guard Tyler Booker, could help the O-line. But after that, crickets. There's not much else to get excited about in Dallas. People forget the Cowboys were a 7-win team last year. And even when Dak Prescott was healthy, they still went 3-5 in games he played. So, are we really supposed to believe he'll suddenly win 10-plus games this year? He's 32 now. Time's not on his side. And don't get me started on coaching. Dallas moved on from Mike McCarthy, but replaced him with Brian Schottenheimer. No offense to him, but he spent 14 years in the league as a coordinator and has never really done anything memorable. And now he's running the biggest spotlight team in football? That's a downgrade. Plus, their defense, which was already bad against the run, is now dealing with injuries to some of its best players. Trayvon Diggs is still battling knee problems, and DeMarvion Overshown, he tore his ACL, PCL, and MCL. That's a brutal triple injury. Last season, the Cowboys were one of the worst in the league when it came to stopping the run, ranking bottom 5 in almost every category: rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, first downs allowed, DVOA, you name it. So, what exactly is supposed to be different now? The media wants you to believe Dallas is coming. But if you look closely, really look, the numbers, the injuries, the coaching, and even the quarterback situation raise more questions than answers. Do you think the Eagles are still the team to beat in the NFC East? Or are the Cowboys really a threat this year? Drop your take in the comments and rate your confidence in Philly from 1 to 10. Let's see who's riding with the champs and who's buying the hype. And let's not forget the part of Dallas's offense that was flat out awful last year. The run game, it was terrible, one of the worst in the league. Now fast forward to this season, and it's supposed to be better? Really? Because now they're rolling with the injury-prone duo of Javonte Williams, who can barely stay on the field, and Miles Sanders, who got pushed out of both Philly and Carolina. That's their two-headed monster? Yikes. Look, sure, the Cowboys might be able to throw the ball. With a healthy offensive line, Tyler Booker helping in pass protection, George Pickens out wide, CeeDee Lamb doing his thing, and a solid group of tight ends. Yeah, Dak will have targets. But even if their passing attack looks good on paper, that doesn't fix 2 massive problems. They still can't run the football. Their defense is full of question marks. Right now, that defense can't stop anyone. Injuries, depth issues, coaching uncertainty. It's all piling up. So this fantasy people have that a 7-win Cowboys team without Dak last year is suddenly going to turn into a 10, 11, or even 12-win powerhouse. Just because Dak is back? Come on, let's be real here. Even with Dak healthy, the Cowboys were still a losing team last season, and nothing we've seen this offseason shows a huge leap forward. In fact, the team might actually be worse in some areas, especially defensively. When you look at the NFC East and all the hype around Dallas, you have to ask, where is this belief coming from? Because from where I'm standing, Dallas could finish dead last in the division. And if the run game doesn't improve and that defense doesn't hold up, things could get ugly fast. Do you think the Cowboys are legit contenders? Or are people buying into another Dallas illusion? Drop your take in the comments. Is this a 10-win team or a disaster waiting to happen? The New York Giants have done something fans have begged for. They've finally moved on from the Daniel Jones era. And for the first time in what feels like forever, the Giants might not finish at the bottom of the NFC East. Maybe, but let's not get carried away just yet. I'll say this, there are some bright spots in New York. Their defensive line is legit scary. We're talking about Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and now rookie Dual Carter, their explosive first-round pick. That front line alone is going to give quarterbacks nightmares and help the Giants stay in a lot more games than they did last year. Remember, they only won 3 games in 2024. Just 3. But with that kind of pressure up front, that number could and should go up. On offense, they've added some exciting weapons. Malik Neighbors, the electric wide receiver, is expected to take a big step forward. Pair him with Tyrone Tracy, and suddenly, the Giants have one of the better 1-2 punches at wide receiver that they've had in years. It's a good start, but that's where the good ends and the concerns begin. Let's start with the offensive line. It's barely improved. This is still the same unit that gave up the 11th most sacks in the league last season. That's a problem, especially with the quarterbacks they're putting behind it. Speaking of which, Russell Wilson is now the guy under center. Yes, he's probably a slight upgrade over Daniel Jones, but let's be honest, he's not the Russell Wilson we remember from Seattle. Last year in Pittsburgh, he went just 6-5 and never really looked like the star he once was. That magic? It's fading, and because the Giants gave him a contract, he's likely going to start week 1, even though their rookie quarterback Jackson Dart has had a really good offseason. The kid looks sharp, he's mobile, he's confident, and he might even be the future. But he won't play. Not until Wilson struggles, which he probably will. So, now you're in a tough spot. Jackson Dart will have to sit and wait, and by the time he finally gets on the field, maybe week 5, week 6, the Giants might already be out of playoff contention, and rookie quarterbacks usually have ups and downs. Don't expect Jackson Dart to come in and pull a Jalen Hurts-type miracle. Not yet, and even if he does get his shot, what's waiting for him on the other side? A defense that can rush the passer? Sure, but can't stop the run. Last year, they ranked 26th in rushing yards allowed. And their pass defense? Even worse, 29th or lower in every major stat. Quarterback rating allowed, completion percentage, yards per attempt, interceptions. You name it. Now add this brutal twist. The Giants have the hardest schedule in the entire NFL this season. Let that sink in. The hardest schedule for a team that went 3-14 last year. Their first 9 games, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, Saints, Eagles, Broncos, Eagles again, and the 49ers. That could easily be a 1-8 or 2-7 start. Maybe 3-6 if everything goes right. And once you're that far behind in the NFC East, you're not catching up. Not with Philly in the lead. To be fair, the Giants worked hard this offseason. They're trying to fix the mess. They want to shake the dumpster fire label that's followed them for years. But is it enough to compete for the division title? No way! Maybe they climb up a spot. Maybe they're not last. But this is not a team ready to take the NFC East crown from the Eagles. Not even close, Giants fans. Be honest. How many wins do you see on this brutal schedule? Drop your prediction in the comments. Is this team on the rise or still stuck in rebuild mode? The Commanders won 12 games last season. The media won't let you forget that. But when you peel back the hype, it's not a playoff machine. It's a house of cards. And this year, it might all come crashing down. People keep saying the Commanders are the team to watch in the NFC East. That they're ready to take over. But when you actually look at the details, the truth is clear. No, they're not. Yes, Washington beat the Eagles once late last season. But that game came after Philly had jumped out to a big lead, and Jalen Hurts left with an injury. Let's not forget, if Devonta Smith doesn't drop a wide-open pass, Philly probably wins easily. And just a few weeks later, when both teams were at full strength, the Eagles destroyed the Commanders in the NFC Championship. Final score? 55-13. That's not just a loss, that's a beatdown. And scoring 55 points in the NFL against a team you've already played twice that season? That's embarrassing. But let's go deeper. The Commanders won 12 games last year, but how many of them were real? Let's break it down. Week 2 versus Giants. New York lost their kicker on the opening kickoff. They had to go for 2 every time and still almost won. Washington barely escaped. Week 18 versus Bears, a last-second Hail Mary won it. A Hail Mary to beat the Chicago Bears. Week 15 versus Saints, New Orleans was on a 7-game losing streak without Derek Carr. Still almost beat Washington with a 2-point try. Week 16 versus Steelers, the infamous Kenny Pickett game. Nothing more needs to be said. Wild card versus Bucks, won on a lucky doinked field goal at the buzzer. Divisional round versus Lions, Detroit was missing 6 defensive starters. That wasn't a full-strength Lions team. Take away a little luck and a few injuries, and that 12-win season, it's closer to 8 or 9 wins. Maybe less. But even if we forgive all that, the real problem is 2025. Because this Commanders roster, it's falling apart. Washington has 30 players who are 29 or older. The oldest team in the league by far. And their big splash signing this offseason? Deebo Samuel, who looks completely out of shape. Even Eagles players were laughing about it. People joked he looked like he was 2 chicken nuggets away from tipping the scale. Look, we like Deebo, but right now, he doesn't look like the guy that's supposed to change the game. And the defense, last year, their run defense was ranked 30th. 3rd worst in the league, and Marshawn Lattimore, he kept getting cooked by A.J. Brown over and over again. He's not getting younger, and he's not keeping up. Now let's talk about the big name, Jayden Daniels. He's exciting, no question. He's the best thing Washington has going right now. But history tells us something very clear. Most rookie QBs who explode in year 1 take a step back in year 2. It happened to C.J. Stroud, Dak Prescott, RG3, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Vince Young, Sam Bradford, only Kyler Murray, and Justin Herbert slightly improved. And even then, neither got a playoff win in year 2. The odds are stacked against Jayden Daniels making a giant leap. It's far more likely he takes a step back, especially with a shaky defense, an aging roster, a heavy schedule, and a WR1 who's, well, out of shape. Honestly, Washington could lose 3 or 4 more games than they did last season. This might have been a team that just overachieved at the right time, not a team that's truly built to last. And that brings us back to the point. All these teams, the Giants, Cowboys, Commanders, they've all got hype, but they're not the Eagles. Philly's turn to domination mode. While the rest of the league is pretending Philly's not the favorite, they're out here quietly building a monster. Let's not forget, the Eagles dominated the NFC last year. They won the Super Bowl, and they owned the Commanders in the process. Their offense, basically unchanged, minus 1 right guard. That's it. Their defense lost some veterans, sure, but replaced them with younger, faster, hungrier talent. And here's the thing nobody's talking about. The disrespect is real. National media already crowned teams like the Bills, Ravens, or Commanders as favorites, but not the Birds. You don't think the Eagles players have seen that, heard that, felt that? You better believe they have. And now they're coming into 2025, angry, focused, ready to destroy anyone in their way. Jalen Hurts is locked in. This team is motivated. And while anything can happen, injuries, surprises, upsets, right now, on paper, the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFC East. Not just maybe, not if. They are, period. And in just a few weeks, training camp begins. That's when the fire starts burning for real. All right, your turn. Who's really the team to beat in the NFC East? Do you believe the Eagles will dominate again, or are the Commanders, Cowboys, or Giants about to